Alright, so this book, Priory of the Orange Tree, it's a thick book, it's really big, and I think it might be one of the biggest books I've reviewed on this channel, along with Empire of the Vampire. So yeah, it did take quite a while to get through actually, also because it's not an easy read at the same time. But we'll get to that in a second, because there are reasons why I don't think it's an easy read. And it's not only because of the language and word use, although we will talk about that too. But first, let's talk about some background on this book. So, this book is written by Samantha Shannon back in 2019, and it was nominated for 2 awards back then too. The Lambda, I have to read this because the Lambda Literary Award nominee for LGBT science fiction fantasy horror. That's a big one. And I can understand that. There are great representation in this book and it's done really well. And the other one is the Goodreads Award for fantasy. Yeah, it didn't win any of those, it only got nominated, but that's still pretty good, to be honest. On Goodreads, as of when I looked, which is a couple of days ago, the current stands at a respectable 4.2, 4.3-ish, around there, out of 5, based on 25,000 reviews. So, can't really be that bad, can it? Like, that many people gave it quite a good score. But let me stand here, because we'll get to the cover now. So I'm gonna look at this here because or else I cannot I can't see the giant floating book next to me, but believe me, it's not there, even though it might look like it. So on the cover of it is a beautiful illustration of a dragon, which makes sense. Dragons are a central facet of this book series. They are basically deities, the bad guy. They're everything. They are probably the most important species in the book, other than humans, because all the main characters are human. Other than that, we see the dragons perched on a tower, and that might actually be what's called the Queen's Tower of Inish, where Sabran lives, which we'll get to. But that's also a hugely important heart. And the reason why I want to highlight that is because quite a lot of the book takes place in that tower, like a surprising amount, so it's quite important. What I don't like, however, about the cover is the lack of an orange tree. Like, the book is literally called The Priory of the Orange Tree, and there's no orange tree. And it's not a name taken like philosophically. No, there's literally a quite important orange tree in the book. So where's my tree? Please. Oh well. It is what it is. I suppose you could argue the orange color means that it's like symbolizes the orange tree, but I still think that's quite a weak argument. But it's probably the best I can come up with personally, so we'll stick to that. Now let's get on to section 1, but we're only gonna do the first half of it because it's so long. So yeah, here we go. Section 1, part 1, which is chapter 1 through up to 13. So 1 through 12 or 1 up to 13, depending on how you want to look at it. When I started reading this book, I was confused out of my mind. Like, they just threw name after name after name after name. At least that's how it felt to me. And I turned my microphone wrong. I wonder how that sounded. I'm sorry about that. And okay, let's get back to it. So they threw name after name after name after name and so on at me. And it didn't feel like it gave me a good explanation of who was who. And I don't know if it was just me, because I didn't get it. And I don't like that, honestly. I don't mind when a book throws in a lot of characters. Just make sure I know who's who. I don't have to be able to remember their names from the beginning. I need to remember who they are. And there were a lot of characters I didn't do that with. Especially a lot of Sabran's maidens. I don't even remember their names. I want to say one of them calls Annabelle, but probably not. But yeah, like all of those, I have no idea who they were. Yeah, so what was on my script? Otherwise it wouldn't be seeing boring. Oh, right. And the thing is about a lot of characters. Of course, it makes sense. You have a thick book. You need a lot of characters to pad it out, or else your world's gonna seem empty. So again, I don't mind a lot of characters, but you need to make sure that your reader knows who they are, or else you're introducing them too fast. Because as I was reading, the further I got in the book, I can tell you now, I understood who the people were. I knew exactly who all of them were. But yeah, it just, the first couple of chapters there was a rough read, to be honest. So let's talk about the story actually. The first part here is a little blank. Basically, it's like you have the Tane storyline, Nicholas Roos, they eat Saber, and I think that's it. Yeah, and they all kind of start the same, which is very world building-esque, which is fine, but nothing make them, stand out from each other. And scratch your nose, like that. And the problem with that is when all your characters feel the same and your story is the same, how am I supposed to know what's going on and who's who? Like how am I gonna remember all the politics that's going on? And trust me, they're great. The politics are great. But the problem, right? Because the politics in itself is pretty good. The problem is, it doesn't lead anywhere. At least that's how it felt. It really didn't feel like the politics we were getting in this book were plot. It felt more like world building. And that's fine, you need some of that. But you kind of also want your book to go somewhere because, it's a long book. You have a lot of space to do what you want, but as you will learn later in this review, it might actually be too short or this section too long. And you'll see me reference a lot to this section here. However, the sparse action has been, because there's been a little, it's mainly been, people that getting really up in heated debates, but there's been a little action. It's been fine. So it's been okay. The main part where we've seen action is the Tane storyline, and it's not that good. Honestly, it's not. Like honestly, I don't think the Tane storyline right now is particularly good. And my biggest gripe is usually you can kind of tell where a book is going and how, like, what happens to character A will in the future relate to character B and C and D and Z. You can't. I have no idea how Shannon's gonna combine all of these, but I guess we'll find out. So really, for the first half here, no. So far, it's actually not that good, which is funny. With 25,000 reviews, all giving them it, like totaling out to about 4 stars, or 4.2. That's kind of wild, isn't it? So let's figure out if the second half of section 1 is better. Let's get to the rest of. Oh, scratchy eye in the beginning. That's bad. Anyways, it's kind of weird splitting it up because there are quite a few sections. There's like 6 sections in this book, so we're going through 7 sub-parts here before we get into the conclusion. So it kind of feels weird, but it's so long. It felt like, and I'm actually not gonna, well, I might check it in the editing, but it felt like it was 200 pages, this very first section here. So it just felt long. But let's start off with some story beats here. There are the Tane and the Sea Rider plot. And because I didn't like that before, let's talk about how I didn't like that before. Let's continue with that. I did not like it. The main reason I didn't like it, because the action was good. Well, fine. But the problem was when Tane keeps worrying that she's gonna fail and she doesn't. That's really, really bad. Like, the problem is we keep hearing about how it's like, oh, all y'all are so much better than me and blah blah blah. It's like, no, they're not. You're the best. You're literally the best. And I know what Shannon's going for. It is Shannon. I know what she's going for. She's definitely going for the strong female character who's a boss lady and cool and all that stuff. And for the most part, that's fine. I mean, I like a good character like that. That's awesome. It's just not working out. Now, something that is working is the chemistry between Eid and Sabra. Holy crap, that's so cute. That's my favorite part of this, is just those two being cute. And it's perfect, and it's, oh, I love it. The cute, it's just, oh. And I get why I got nominated for the award, and I really want to look up like who won the award of it, because it's good so far. I mean, we can't really say they get into a couple, but let's be honest, we know they're gonna get into a couple, and we want that so hard right now. So yeah, really like it. But let's talk about two-person storylines. The love and Kit storyline started here, and it turned into the love storyline because Kit was a waste of space in this book. Because he is in it for, it feels like, 2 chapters. And then he gets killed. Why would you do that? Why? Why? It wasn't even like, I know Shannon's going, she's going for the emotional, oh no, Kit, love's best friend died, oh it's so sad, it's horrible. Problem is we have no idea who Kit is. Literally no clue. And that's a problem. That's a huge problem when working with this. Oh, nearly lost my balance there. And I haven't even gotten a beer yet. Probably not going to get one because I have work tomorrow. No, the problem is we didn't know love for Kit. We know now, later in the more we read, we know who Love is. We knew Kit was Love's best friend. That's it. That's all he was. So why have him killed? Why even introduce him if you're not going to use him for anything? If you wanted Love to be sad, maybe have, I don't know, Kit join the pirates. Maybe have them fight and Kit goes back to the castle. Or maybe that's why Kit joins the pirates and then Love is sad about that. And then he's lonely, he's scared. That would work. And it would make the entire section in the Isalin castle area so much more scary because he doesn't have the cheery Kid to help him. And the problem is we get I'll spoil it now. We get a couple of references, but I'm not going to talk about it anymore after this. But we do get a couple of references to Kid being dead, but that's it. We get references. Otherwise, Love is fine. Like, it's really just an unnecessary kill, and that's it. So, what I'm trying to get at is more happened, which is an improvement, but I'm not really that impressed yet. Like, I get the nomination for the LGBTQ thing, but for best fantasy sci-fi book from Goodreads, so far I wouldn't agree, but I don't know. We're only about 200 pages in, and we only just started the main plots, so maybe now that the stories are started, we'll get somewhere. So we did get the improvement. Awesome! Finally we got improvement going here. So, the Saber and Eid storyline, chef's kiss. Still good, still cute, still what I want. Let's talk about the surprise of this section. Which was, where, who? Nicholas Rooks. That was not very smooth, but that's good, let's keep it. So, Nicholas Rooks, the storyline here was surprisingly good. Like, really, really good. I was so shocked because I did not expect it to be that good. Yeah, I mean, it's not the best storyline out there. I mean, it's okay. Compared to section 1, it's so much better. Compared to other books like of same length, like Empire of the Vampire, it's still not very good. But I'll take it. And especially because the Saber and Eid storyline gets better as we get through section 2. Because we get to see Eid being both tender and loving with Saber, or we see her being the badass girl boss that we know that she apparently is, and I want more of that, and I want more of that conspiracy of who she really is and what the Priory thing is she's from is, all that stuff. I want more. I love it. I'm actually glad to be honest, that I stuck to this book. I was considering putting it down after the first 200 pages. And to be honest, if I wasn't doing this review, I probably would have, but now we're gonna go through it all because it's definitely improved and it has shown me that, you know, it's not bad. And that's actually about the book. Talk a bit on a meta level here, about Shannon's writing. Because she's one of those authors who, she's kind of Brandon Sanderson-esque in the way that she doesn't use flowery language, but she still manages to use a language. Compared to Brandon Sanderson, that definitely is flowery, but compared to like Patrick Rothfuss or Tolkien, not very. But you can definitely tell she knows what she's doing. She's really, really good at her stuff, and she has definitely been aware of her word choices. Yeah. I would like to have seen some of the things from section 2 here put into section 1, just instead of the world building, because it is way shorter than section 1. So maybe even take some of the world building from section 1 up here in section 2 would probably be better to even out the lengths. But honestly, I think when you divide a book into sections, you have to be aware of how long the sections are and what they themselves contain, because it has to kind of match and make sense. And I know you can say, oh, section 1 is the world building, setup, introduction, but I don't want to spend, what would that be, a quarter of my book on that? I want to spend a fifth of my book at most on that, maybe even only a sixth, at least for an introduction. And then as I'm reading through the book, I want the rest. But trust me, we get more world building as we get through. Section 2 had way more world building, and I can guarantee you 3, 4, 5, 6 also has. Talking about the other sections, let's get to section 3. Section 3 is more like a detective novel, almost, with E trying to figure out what's going on here, what's actually the history of the religion, of virtuedom or something like that. And I'm all in for it. I think it's cool, I think it's fun. And I like how, like, the kingdom of Inish, which Sabran is from, has this base belief which is in every matter of way just mistaken. And then there's the Priory, who has like some amount of knowledge, and then there's all the other countries and libraries throughout who has old documents, and she's trying to piece together what's actually going on, because no one knows the full truth, and it's a lot of half-baked truths that they actually know. And it's fun. It's kind of like catching Pokemon. You gotta catch all the knowledge instead. I don't know why I wrote that in the script. That's a horrible comparison. So something I do want to talk about though is the breakout from the Priory with the jewel. I get a feeling that action is not Shannon's strongest suit. Like, it's the action there is very sparse, and when it's there, it is very short. And here we have the opportunity to have Ede battle the Prioress, who is supposedly the best fighter in the Priory or whatever, and she just fades to black. Why? It would have been an epic battle. Our battle would have been legendary. I don't know. I think it would have been awesome. Of course, you have to know your skills and your abilities, so if she doesn't feel strong or isn't that strong in combat, I would still have given it a shot, to be honest. Last section, we talked about how Roos were, getting an awesome story, and it was so fun and all, and I take all of that back. The story turned out to be kind of blind, not that good, to be honest, and I don't like that. I'm kind of disappointed. Yeah. I mean, the one thing I really dislike is that Roos is kind of a one-note character in a way, because all he cares about is his old lover who's dead, and he keeps thinking about it and 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 thinking about it, and then he thinks about it again. And I get it. It's horrible. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he shouldn't be a big part of his character. Please give him more dimension. Please. Yeah, that's actually all I have for section 3. It wasn't that long, and yeah, the action were sparse / not there, and a potential great story was sadly dropped. So let's hope that she picks up in section 4. We are back in section. I turned my microphone wrong again. We're back in section 4. Well, not back. We are at section 4, and let's start talking about the conspiracy and the saving Sabran in her queen's castle from the cover. Oh. So it was awesome. It was epic. It was fun. It was exciting. It was action packed. It was so good. I want more. I really wished it was like 5 pages more. 5 pages seems fine, and 5 pages. But I also get it, because we're seeing that action doesn't seem to be Shannon's strongest suit. So why overstate welcome? Because that's the thing. If it had been, let's say, 10 pages longer, and it had dropped, it would just have felt like it was dragging out. We don't want that either. So really, cutting it shorter than we would have liked is most likely the correct option. Even though she could probably easily have padded it out just 2 pages more and it would have been better. But something I didn't like was the entire red herring in the conspiracy. Because all throughout the book, we think that, Sabran and Ede, and actually me included, think that the person who's behind all of this is the spy master guy. When in reality, it's her newest advisor, the lady who raised her. And it's awesome. I can totally see that in the real world, a religious figure getting overzealous and starts to think that her way of seeing the religion is the only true way. And the thing is, there's a precedent for it in the book, because the same lady who tried to overthrow Sabran did it to her mom and tried to make Sabran her a puppet queen. So, we see it in some ways. And I think that was awesome. I think it was so much fun. I really want more. When I was reading this book, it felt like that there was only that was all. That was all that was relevant to talk about in this section. And then the entire world got turned upside down. And I'd like to take a minute just to sit right there and tell you all about the story of how Caliba is actually the first queen of Virtudom. And yes, I did just do that, and no, I will not do it again. Maybe I will someday, but not now. The entire Caliba Ede revelation of what's going on and Sabran, and just the world being turned around like that, it was so good. How every place got nearly everything slightly wrong compared to what actually happened. And that's the thing. That's the thing about history. We, 99% of the time, we assume we know what happened. We might not. We might be completely wrong, but we're only as good as our sources and what we have left of them. So yeah, it's kind of funny. Because we had section 1, which I didn't particularly like. Then we had section 2, and I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be awesome. And then we had section 3, and I was like, this is not fun anymore. And now we have section 4, and it's awesome. So judging by this, I am gonna guess we're gonna have a negative section 5. And I know what you're thinking, oh, but Lightning, you have already, written the script, you have read the book, you know what's gonna happen. I don't remember. I honestly don't. So, I don't know. I honestly don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, let's get to section 5. Before we get into section 5, something I didn't I forgot to talk about in section 4 was that by ending section 4, there's only about 200 pages left, which is not a lot when you think about that's a quarter of the book. Well, roughly. But the problem is, I don't feel like we're wrapping up. I don't feel like we're working towards a climax. I feel like we're working towards a sequel here, which, I know she's working on. She did a prequel. I kind of want to read, kind of don't. Maybe I'll read it sometime. But I know she's working on a sequel, So it doesn't really feel like this book is gonna end its own story. But let's see. But let's talk about section 5, which is why we're here right now. And the sections are getting shorter, and that's kind of weird when she started with such a long section. As I said in the beginning, we're going to talk about that section a lot. We're going to reference that a lot. And this one here is kind of like the first section in many ways. Because, I don't know. Wait, what? Oh, right. Actually, I'll skip that. That's not this section here. Never mind. My mistake. No, what I really want to talk about is the pacing of this section. It's kind of all over the place because we feel like in some points it's like we're going super fast, and in other places we're like a snail could be faster than us. And it's kind of weird. It's a weird feeling. I don't know if I like it. It's not that, you can vary your pacing a lot, especially if you have multiple parallel storylines going. But I don't know, it comes off a bit jarring. Something else that's is the tiny all her obstacles, because that's what they are. They're obstacles. They're not challenges. They're not there for her to improve or anything. They're just there to pad out the book, and that's kind of weird because the section is so short. But really, there's it feels like a bunch of things. There's only like 2 or 3 things that Tane really has to struggle with before getting to a goal. But they didn't feel like at any point it was gonna be a challenge. It honestly just felt like it was there for her to not just go from A to B without problem. And I don't know. I don't like it. If it's not important for the story, or if not important for the character, or if it doesn't feel like it's if it doesn't feel like it's challenging your characters, don't have it. Then I'd rather want you to take these small obstacles and put in the beginning, put in the section 2, put it in section 3, especially section 1 because it's so long, but put it early on where we don't know the character, so it feels more of a challenge. Now we know how badass Tane is. We don't care about these small obstacles here. We want to get to the big stuff, the very big stuff. And we're working towards the end there. This is the second last sequence here, section, and it just feels like we should end the book now, and then have it be, the sequel. But I don't know. On the other hand, I'm also like, that's really weird, because especially now that I read the book, I know where it's going. But even when I was reading, I was like, you could end it now, you could also continue, and I wouldn't be mad either or. So she probably chose what she felt like was what she wanted, and that's fair. Yeah. So let's get to section 6. Let's talk about section 6. And let me say first forward, I didn't actually expect Shannon to finish the story, but she did, and that's fine. But let's start off with something else. She says section 6 is a whole lot of politics. Oh, that's odd, because I love it. I think it was so fun. I think it was so good, and it really showed why Shannon is a good author. So why did I hate it in the first section when I like it in the end? Plot. Story. The politics here move the plot, they move the story. They're not just like, oh, it's so hard being a queen. And all how ladies are like, yes, queen, it's so hard. Oh, do you want 13 or 14 breakfast dishes? I don't know, I feel a little melancholic. Maybe I'll only take 13. That's my dramatic section 1 politics. Whereas in this one is like, alright guys, we are up against Big Baddy. We can die at any moment. Yeah, badass warrior queen, we got you, we are behind you. You are the chosen. It's like, I'm not the chosen one. We are all the chosen. We determine our future. we got this. Yeah. You see, there's a huge difference. So it actually was really, really fun, and it felt really relevant. For the majority of the story, I dislike the Nicholas Roos, and nearly every time I talked about him, I have disliked him. So let's talk about him. The treatment and he got from Sabran on that ship, and the way he just got turned into a broken character, no one deserves that. Like, that was heart-wrenching, that was actually what I wanted. In a way, it's exactly what this book needed. Not because I think Nicholas Roos deserved it, he definitely deserved some kind of emotional damage, but mainly because it's what Shannon is really, really good at. And that's what matters here, is that she's good. Now, let's talk about the big climax, both against Caliba and the Nameless One. Because, oh boy, am I disappointed. Let's start out that it's supposed to feel chaotic. It's supposed to feel like we have these 2, 3, 4 ships, like huge ships, in the middle of the ocean. Like, imagine the middle of the Pacific on a sailing ship. And there's a storm brewing, and you're fighting for your life against the evil witch, who's apparently one of the queen's great and so on mother. And it's chaos, and there's flying worms everywhere, and suddenly, if you are from Virgida, you have dragons on your side, and your entire religion is turned upside down. And I like to take, I already did that joke. I told you I wasn't gonna do it again. I almost did though. And it's just, it was supposed to be chaotic, and it was, but in the bad way. It was in the way where I couldn't follow along very well. I think it was very difficult to follow. And that's sad because it's the climax. And we've been leading up to this. And that brings me to the second feeling. I counted the pages. The climax is 6 pages. 6 pages. Imagine, if you will, Harry Potter. All book. We're told how Lord Voldemort is going to return and how horrible that's going to be. And then he shows up for 6 pages, and then he dies. That's this book. That is what's going on in this book. Oh boy, was I disappointed. It's bad. Really, really bad. Now, something else. The victory against the Nameless One didn't feel earned. Honestly, truly honestly, it did not feel like it was an earned victory. It honestly felt like Shannon ran out of pages. Like she was told no more than 800 pages. I know it's not exactly 800, but you get my drift. So honestly, it was really, really bad. And yeah. The other problem I have is, for the sequel, the remaining enemy is High Western. It's a lieutenant. We've seen them battle them, not winning, but we've seen them battle them and standing on their own. We've seen them defeat the Nameless One, who we're told all book is the biggest, baddest guy of them all. And he went down easily. So why is the sequel gonna be a problem? That's gonna be easy. The most difficult part's gonna be find him. Yeah, that's it. And then let's talk about the final story after the climax. It's especially I want to talk about 2 things. The Tane part, because I don't get why do we need a sequel bait with her? Why? We have the High Westerner. We have the Lieutenant. He's gonna be the big bad guy for the sequel. So why do we need sequel baiting? I don't get it. Second of all, Nicholas Roos. I talked literally a couple of minutes ago how I didn't think he deserved it. He got a beautiful, wonderful, cute ending, and a happy ending, and he moved along from his husband. Perfect. It's exactly what I always thought at the husband, because I couldn't remember if they're actually married. They're not, they're lovers, because the lover that's dead were married already because he was royal. That's how it was. So honestly, yeah, Nicholas got the ending we want. So let's get to the conclusion of this review. Let's cut to the chase. Should you read this book? Honestly, no. I don't think so. I don't think the book is that good. With 200 pages of world building and setup, you're gonna get burned out. I knew you got burned out, and I had a reason for not just, for reading the book, you can say. The book, it's not a bad book. That's kind of the worst part. It's not bad at all. Well, for the most part, not bad. The problem with this book is, right? Let's take it. The highs are like really, really high. The lows are very, very low. And for the most part, it's not like it's more to the lower end than high. So, yeah. I think the main problem stems not from Shannon as an author. I actually think it's an editorial problem. It feels like a lot of problems an editor would pick up on, And honestly, I think an editor should have picked up on like the excessive amount of world building, the weird pacing at times, the lackluster action, and it almost felt like she was working with a deadline, which maybe she was. Now, the lesbian and gay representation, and I suppose a little bi, some of the character bi. I don't remember. There might be, but it doesn't matter. The representation in this book for Pride, Pride Month right now, by the way, so it fits. Is superb. It's so good. Like, she makes Nicholas Roos feel very much like just a person in love. Sabra and Eve have the cutest chemistry in the world. They're just cute, fun, but they're not just, lovey-dovey. They feel like a couple. And it doesn't feel like it's a shoehorned in thing. It feels very natural. So yeah. The problem is, if you want to read this book for the representation, I think you can find better. Honestly, I think you can find better representation books. I mean, they have to be really good, but this book is really good. But I honestly think probably the one that won the Lambda Award that year might actually be what you should go for, since it's one of the only were nominated. Yeah, that's what I would go for. Is it a bad book? I wouldn't say so. At least not on the technical level. It has its ups and downs. I don't think you should read it. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time when we will be reviewing Skin of the Sea.